Y'all can be seated. Wasn't that fun to be there? It would have been fun to be there 55 years ago, too. I would have loved to have seen that look in your dad's eye. What a nice moment. Do you know what the word epiphany is? We don't often talk about that in the Jewish circles. Epiphany. You know what an epiphany is? It's when all of a sudden someone sees the light. Right? Like in Monty Python, I guess. I tried to take it from the Ariel, the Little Mermaid. That's that melody, but it's sound familiar, right? You knew it all along, right? But I'm going to tell you about one gentleman's epiphany moment, and it might be a moment of epiphany for you too. So this is, I remember, it's 36 years ago to this week's Torah portion. I had finished a whole year of rabbinical school, and with all of that background under me, there were small congregations that needed some help, someone to lead services, to teach classes, and they turned to Hebrew Union College, the seminary that ordains rabbis, and they say, are there any student rabbis that could fly out for the weekend once a month? Stay the whole weekend. You know, we'll give them dinner at someone's house on Friday night, we'll put them up in a hotel or maybe someone's home, and they'll do Friday night services and Saturday morning services and do all the tutoring of the bar bat mitzvahs, teach an adult ed class, help with Sunday school, and around noon fly back. Well, it was, I was called in to be the rabbi, but I was really very much the student, because I didn't know diddly from squat about this rabbi stuff. Let's see, it was 1984. It just turned 1980. Maybe it was the end of 1983. This week's Torah portion came up. But I was 23 years old, and I was like, yeah, all right, here I am. I guess I have to be like a rabbi. And there was one person there who was actually a senior member of the faculty of the University of Arizona in Tucson. I flew out to Tucson, Arizona. His name was Winton Woods, and he was really a senior member of the faculty of a fine university in Arizona, a fine law school. His name was Winton Woods, but everyone called him Woody. Woody Woods. And he and his wife were very gracious to me. And he was going to study with me to learn how to be Jewish. Now, I wasn't a rabbi yet, so I didn't have the power vested in me. So, but I did the studying. And then towards the end, he flew out to Los Angeles, where my seminary was. And one of the deans and I, on my recommendation, one of the deans conducted the ceremonies involved in having him become Jewish. And it's interesting, since 36 years ago, he was one of the senior members of the faculty. I spoke with him about a year back. It's interesting. He was still doing very well. But his epiphany moment came in the Black Book on page 342. He just looked at that picture on page 342. And he had a very deep spiritual, wow, enlightening moment just looking at this picture. What do you see on, someone raise their hand and tell me what you see on page 342, and I'll tell you if you got the right page. First of all, I'll tell you one thing you don't see on page 342. You don't see any numbers. It's the opposite side of 343, which is kind of silly. I don't know why they didn't put a number there. Do you see the page I'm talking about? But because not everyone has a book. Do you remember I mentioned it's good to get a book? Did you catch that part? The black ones, yeah. So what's on page 342?
A map.
There's a map. A map of what? Exodus and Sinai. This is what I want you, first of all, for every book I want one hand to go up because I want to see how many people have a book in front of them. One hand per book. Well, there's some books. You're missing out on an epiphany. I mean, what more can I say? All right, those of you who have a book, this is what I want you to do. I want you to look on there, and I want you to put your finger on Mount Sinai. This is a picture of the Sinai Desert. Egypt, the Sinai Desert, leading up to where Jerusalem is. You see Jerusalem on the top. It's mostly the Sinai Desert. Put your finger on Mount Sinai, and now someone tell me what part of the map did you find Mount Sinai, and let everybody know. Oh, what's that? On the top, or the bottom, the middle? Where is it?
Several within the Sinai Peninsula.
What do you mean several within the Sinai Peninsula? There's a furrowed look on the Patterson matriarch. Why do you look so troubled there, my dear?
It's all over. There's not like one spot.
Well, I want to know where Mount Sinai was, where Moses went up to get the Ten Commandments. Which one's Mount? All right. So I got it. Why don't you find what's called the Sea of Reeds, Yam Suf, the Red Sea, the Sea of Reeds. Where's the Sea of Reeds? Do you see it there? Is it on the top or on the left? Well, why would that be? How many Mount Sinai's are there in this map? Three? There's like 4 seeds of reeds? What do you mean there's 4 seeds of reeds?
4 seeds of reeds is 6 months.
How many Mount Sinai's do you see? Why would now you want to know where Mount Sinai is? You look at a map, and here's this map, and this map is in the same book that we have, the Torah, the Bible. So this map must be right, right? It must be right. Why in the world? You see where it says Exodus and Sinai? On the bottom, the legend, what's it say right underneath it? Isn't that interesting? Theories on the route described by the Torah. These are different theories as to where Mount Sinai is, because one thing about this map is this map admits we don't know for sure which mountain it is. The only thing we know is that it is not one of the biggest mountains in the Sinai Desert. And we don't know exactly which is Yam Suf, the Red Sea, or the Sea of Reeds that was crossed over. But there are different theories. And this map is fascinating in that it gives several perspectives. And when Rabbi Allen.
I saw another map where they actually crossed where the Sea of Reeds was considered where it says Gulf of Eilat.
Could have been. In fact, that's the one that's called the Red Sea on some maps. All right, so I was just leading up to the point. I know what the point is. Don't tell me. So Winton Woods looks at this map. Remember, senior member on the law faculty, intelligent guy. He looks at this map and he has an epiphany, and it was incredible, the look on his face. It's like the world stopped spinning. The world stopped spinning, and he had incredible clarity, and out of his mouth came these words, "Now I know why there are so many Jewish lawyers. That's what he said. He said, now I know why there are so many Jewish lawyers. And I said, oh, what you mean? That what's this got to do with law? He said, well, the thing about law is you have to see things from lots of perspectives. And you don't always know the right way, but you have to look at it from lots of different ways in order to establish justice. And he says, here, this is your Bible? This isn't like any Bible I had. And he went and got the Bible he had from his confirmation years ago. And it also had a map. And there was only one Mount Sinai and only one Red Sea in it. And he said, that's the difference. And this is, he says, this is unbelievable. He says, I want to be Jewish. This is just because of this map on this piece of paper, page 242 in this book. This is, I mean, he did want to be Jewish beforehand, but this kind of cemented the deal. That's a very Jewish concept, to see the world from many perspectives. You look at the whole story of the Exodus. In the ancient world, very few people knew how to write. The only people that knew how to write, or that were allowed to write, were people who wrote the histories of the kings. That's it. No one wrote the story of a commoner. The ability to write and to record history was among the most top secret of professions, of crafts. It was like the FBI kind of thing. How is the legacy going to be recorded? And let me tell you, many times it wasn't anywhere near what the archaeological evidence says. Because no king would write about a time they lost. Why would they do that? No king would write about what the commoners were thinking. Why would they do that? They only care about themselves. And that's all of the histories that we have. The stories of what happened is the stories that the kings wanted us to remember about them. There's also a lot of stuff about like taxes and inventories and stuff like that, because you have to know how much inventory in order to know how much tax to collect. And you got a lot of records like that, but almost nothing of the commoner, except for Bible. And I can't begin to tell you how unique this document is. It tells the story of slaves. And it says slaves are just as holy as kings. And it doesn't just tell the story of slaves. It starts off by telling the story of two great heroes. When the king, the Pharaoh, wanted to, it was scared of the Jews, thinking they might rise up against him because there's so many of them. He says, every time a baby boy is born, thrown in the Nile. And he had a deal with the midwives, the ones, probably the people of very low status that helped women give birth. And the heroes in this story, Shiphrah and Puah, their names are recorded. When they saw a baby boy, they did not kill it. And they said, when they were called to question on it, and their lives were in danger, they lied. And they said, oh, the women gave birth, the Jewish women, they give birth like this. They said it exactly like this. The Jewish women, it's like toothpaste out of a tube. Well, something like that. But they said it comes out so fast I didn't have time to look or to see anything. They just did it and they whisked it away, which was a lie. But God rewarded them for it because it was a bad law. But what I'm pointing out to you is the incredible, unique component that the hero is a low status individual talking to Pharaoh and lying to Pharaoh because of some greater truth. And not only that, the heroes are women. Who knew women could be strong? Who knew they could be smart? Who knew they could be just? It's not written anywhere else. It's written in Torah. It's written in Torah. The little girl, the brave little girl Miriam that watched out over her baby brother, and the mama who loved her children so much. Yocheved raised up little Moses. That's in this story. And they care about the slaves. You know, everything about it is look at things from lots of perspectives. There's not just one way to look at the world. Just like there's a lot of Mount Sinai's that could be. There's only one, but we don't know for sure. We're not going to tell you we know for sure if we don't. But we want you to see it from different perspectives and what it says about how we understand history. Because every one of these different Mount Sinai's tells a different story. Look at things from different perspectives. What a Jewish thing to do. That is the essence of what we're going to be doing on Monday, the Shema tour. We're going to be going to different places and seeing perspectives that you would never see otherwise. It is so different coming back and telling you about it or actually being there. Like, can you imagine when you were a kid, one of your friends came back and told you about Disneyland? They could tell you till they're blue in the face, but it's nothing like being there. Well, I guess you guys did Disney World, right? It's nothing like being there. There's nothing like, I could tell you what happened, but there's nothing like sitting down with some of the people who live on Garden Street, the north side of Hartford, and asking them, what's a day like? What do you call a good day? What, if you can help someone, what does that look like? What do you bring them to? And just talking about it. You know, you could even talk about, you got a pet? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. You got kids? Tell me about them. How do you raise kids? Just sitting and talking. You'll get such amazing perspectives on things. We're going to go to visit with the Archbishop Dexter Burke in his church, very small church. But I can tell you, in the basement is one of the real highlights of the city of Hartford is in the basement of that church, and it's not very big. And I'm not telling you what's in there. There's still room to join us on the Monday. We're going to meet here at 9 o'clock. We're going there, and then we're going afterwards to see Rabbi Allen in his day job and what he does with the Hebrew Center and what happens there. And they're treating us to a nice lunch. And then we're going to take a quick look at his other job, where he's chaplain over at Hoffman Summerwood. And then we're going to go take a look, because I guess when you're the head of the religious the social action committee, when you're the head of the social action committee, you get some say in where we go. We're going to go take a look at what destitute dogs and cats do, the lucky ones. We're going to go to like an animal shelter that I hear is quite lovely. Yeah, it's a good one. We'll have a little bit of fun along the way too. And then, so if you can't join us on Monday, that's in a couple of days, do join us a week from Sunday. That's the 27th, I think it is, 26th. On the 26th. Join us on the 26th, Sunday at noon. That's when we talk about what we have seen, and we're going to pick one project to work on as a whole congregation. We're going to pick one project. And you want to be there. You want to be there to see what it is. You get to have a vote. You get to choose what we're going to do. That's coming up this weekend. Anyways, I just wanted to share what we take for granted, looking at things from many different perspectives. It's unique. It's unique. I don't think any other people has a heritage of that like we do.